God, this looks so good. You guys have no idea how much better it looks on my end. What? I miss him already. I miss him already. Man.
Parece que me toca bailar, hermano.
What an entrance.
No way to finish a dance.
Oh my god. Oh my god, yes. Yes.
Your favorite, I believe?
Excellent timing, Ada. You know how I feel about being tied up. And yes, many thanks. You see, those annoying monks took everything from me.
Including the amber?
No, cleverly hidden just before they grabbed me.
In your butt.
Well, then lead the way.
My pleasure.
Okay, here we go. Gameplay.
And here we go.
Yes. Hey,
This way.
Is it close?
Luis. I miss you,
Not
buddy.
Exactly.
I miss you,
Pretty
bud.
safe.
I miss our times
No
together.
amber, no deal.
Ooh,
You know the terms.
green
Good.
herbs.
We're good. What do you want?
Oh man, this looks so
don't know.
good.
Yet. It won't open.
Oh, I like talking to myself too. You look beautiful. Let me get a remembering how to play. I'll come you back to. So, oh, Luis. I bet you there was something in there besides just green herb.
We've got company. They're looking for us.
Oh, no
We're
shit.
taking the high road. Got it?
Understood.
Up you go, Luis.
Arriba y listo.
Oh god.
Fetch the amber. We'll meet up later.
No! Sorry, what kind of a man leaves a lady? Then we meet at the church. Let's not make it a funeral, eh?
Okay, let's see if I remember how to play. Oh, I don't have to. Nice. Not nice. That's disgusting. Oh, that's not good.
Not bad. Not nearly good enough.
Right. How do I run it in? How do I run it in? It's not. Well, that's not gonna work. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Oh god. Come on, guy. Over here. Does your face hurt? Whoa.
My eyes. What's
Illusions.
this? Is all
Where's the real one? That's the real one. That's not the real one. That's not the real one. Oh no, no, no. That's not fair. How do I? Oh, A. And I wonder if there's a way to find out which is. Oh, I just find the real one and start attacking it. I think it's that guy. You look real. You're probably real. Okay. Are you real? You are real. What? Damn it. Oh, okay, okay. The real one I think is glowing in its face. I think. No, they're all glowing. Oh shit. If I'm supposed to just run away. Oh, come on. That's not good. Sluttering? What do you mean? Stuttering? The game? Or the camera? Shit. Is it the camera? Okay. It's got to be an Elgato setting or something because it was happening with the laptop too when I played a video game. So we'll have to write it down on a sticky note.
and stay gone?
I don't think that's the last of him. Which is very frustrating too, because it's probably some troubleshooting though we have to figure out. But yeah, I know the game looks fine. It probably has to do with, I don't know, it's the Elgato camera. It's something we have to troubleshoot. Oh, hold on. Because it happened before. It's, I guess one of them is trying to take, or the Elgato camera wants to be like, I don't know, have the administrator problems. But there's probably a workaround. I can't do it right now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of I see it totally. It's frustrating though. It's like when you buy these things, you want them to work properly, and I know there's a lot of people who are happy with Elgato, and maybe I'm just doing it the wrong way, but there's always seems to be an issue with it. It's a setting. Okay, so maybe I can go on a bathroom break, but that would mean Tech Guy, you might have to do some quick troubleshooting. But I'll play until I need to go to the bathroom. And apologies for the. Well, that just means like you're gonna have to stop watching right now and troubleshoot. But I don't know if you can. You're probably gonna want me to tweak some things while we do that, but it's all good. We will figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. If it were me, I would just Google Elgato camera stutters when I play video games, and I'm sure I'm not the only one with these issues, so it's probably gonna auto-populate to the search engine and just let me know what it says. But I'm gonna enjoy this amazing, beautiful video game. It looks amazing and beautiful. Because this was happening on the laptop too, and it's silly because I wasn't using the camera because I thought it was the lack of power from my laptop. Turns out, come to find out, it's the setting on a Elgato camera. No, you're amazing and beautiful, Neko. Thank you. But I'm not going to spend 500, 600 bucks on a camera because Elgato. And I already spent like 200 on this damn webcam.
Wrong way.
Wrong way? I know it's this way. I just wanted to see. Yes, Tech Guy is a very good techie. Detective, you're a good techie too, right? But Tech Guy usually finds out the issues and gets solutions.
Control, come in. Louise hit the amber, but I've sent him to retrieve it.
Okay, cool.
Control, do you copy?
I'm listening.
Ooh, I love Wesker.
We ran into some unexpected trouble.
And? What will you do about it?
Louise is already en route to the church. I'm tracking him every step of the way.
Very well. Then I suggest you hurry.
Copy. Just need to confirm my route first. Heading out to get a visual of the area.
What? Since when did they get contacts? First of all, I know the grappling hook is really cool, but it's physically impossible, I think. Unless it's a really strong grapple. Y'all, look. Wait, where are we? Zoom? Zoom?
I wonder what that is.
Isn't that where the cannon was? Oh, that Leon had to use? Ooh, what's that?
That looks dangerous. Better tread carefully.
Totally. I wonder if on the Separate Ways DLC, they told the voice actor for Ada to like, they were like, give it more emotion.
That's where I need to go.
Stick to the high ground. You have the means.
Okay, Wesker.
Don't forget your mission.
Yes.
Amber. Nothing else matters.
Yes, sir.
Tour up and bring it to me.
Yes, sir.
Understood. But maybe a little sightseeing first.
Oh? Okay, so I get to... Hold on, I hear... They're like way too close. Oh, there they are. I remember all this. This was a hard part. Can I kill them? Die! Die, zombie. Wait a minute. If it's a zombie, is it already dead, right? I guess it's like a parasite zombie, so it's not actually a zombie. It's just a human that's been turned to a zombie parasite thingy. Die, parasite zombie. Yeah. Yeah. Bye. These are awesome. Ooh. Wait, if I'm collecting all this before Leon gets here, how did Leon get all of it? Interesting. They must have restocked before Leon got back, or got to this point. They were like, hold on, Ada stole all our shit. We better restock for Leon. Yeah, good idea. Okay, full health, almost. Reloaded. Now, I just look anywhere and I can grapple, or... There's a bad guy over there. I can be sneaky and go kill him with my knife. Okay, looks like he's patrolling. And he's no longer gonna be alive. Okay. Okay. Yes. What a good promotion that was. Oh my goodness, they messed up my shirt. That one guy did. I have a little scratch. I think I got everything here. I wonder if there are mini games in this DLC. I'm really not familiar with DLCs in Resident Evil games, the newer ones. Which I look so good. I love how she's in heels this entire freaking time, by the way. Do you think I can get that guy without him seeing me? I think I can try. Don't turn around, sir. Sir, don't turn around. Don't. Goodbye, sir. Okay. Now, the patrol is going to come by. I'm going to hide. And then I'm going to go get him. Get him. You can't see me. Come on. Get closer, get closer, get closer. Come on. Okay, and then I'm going to sneak attack this one too. You don't hear your other friend kind of like dying. Okay, bye. Ooh, nice. Alright, so we restocked on a lot of stuff. I think I got rid of a lot of bad guys. More jewelry. It said keep the high ground. Oh wait, that just leads to back up there. So that'll do nothing for me. Ooh. You don't heal me? You don't hear the heals? This is a little too easy. But, you know, I shouldn't complain. Interesting. That... Oh, okay. Right. All leads to same place. So I'm sorry, but that jump would really hurt heals. I don't know how I know that. I just know. Okay.
This'll do nicely. Things are heating up. I'll need to disable the catapults.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and disable the catapult, shall we? Okay, calm down. Just be calm. Oh, yes. No, stay down. Stay down. Oh crap. Oh crap. Yes. More catapult. Uh-oh. 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 Okay, there's two more. Two more catapults. Ooh, and another bad guy. You did not just throw that at me. Uh-oh. Another bad guy. Cool. Did I miss? Oh, I missed.
That did the trick.
Cool. Country boy, how are you?
Move.
Oh. That was awesome. No, I'd waste a grenade on you guys, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. Oh. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Playing the new DLC, Resident Evil 4. This guy. Like this. Yeah, I miss streaming. Nice. The music is still playing, which indicates to me that there are still bad guys around. Where though? Where are you? Where are you? Oh yeah, it's Mrs. Stabby Pants to you? Oop, oop, oop. Trying to say, look at her in heels. Oh, those look like almost flats though, but that's cool. Ooh. Oh, there you are. Oh. There's still bad guys. But where are they? Oh, grenade. They don't see me yet. Okay. Flash grenade. I gotta get a little bit closer. I found him. no. Oh no. Another cannon. Where? Ooh. How did that not? Oh, I just took an arrow to the chest. Okay. Oh, I love being Ada. Who shoot? Oh, there you are. Nice. I hope it's fun. Me in Purdue. Oh, I didn't dodge that, but I didn't see you. I'm coming to get you. Oh. I feel like that one was about to turn into a little parasite zombie thing out of its head. Yeah, yeah. Ada is like a star character of Resident Evil. Okay.
Almost out of here.
Just almost, but not completely. Did I miss a bad guy somewhere? I think I did, because the music is still in its dramatic mode, but that's okay. My knife is almost broken. Uh-oh. It's Bugface guy. It just looks like a cockroach. First chapter. That was fun. That was fun. Let's save our progress. It's just a big cockroach. So, let's see, are we stuttering still? Are we stuttering? Are we stuttering? Okay. Thank you. I'm in the, is it Alpines? Was it continuously stuttering when we were playing the game, or? I was gonna maybe do a break. An hour. I might do another chapter though, because I'm enjoying the game. I just don't want it to like the camera to stutter and be kind of ridiculous, you know. Only sometimes. Okay. And I mean, I like the quality it's at, so if we can keep this quality without lowering quality, that would be even more ideal. I thought there was just like a setting somewhere. You do? Nice. Yeah, keep the quality without lowering it, or keep the quality and remove the stutter. Okay, let's get back into the game. I think I might play one more chapter. If possible. Yep. One more chapter and then we'll go on break. That's a rebel scum. Okay, so next. Here we go. Should I order? See, it's fine right now. Yeah, I'm like wondering what's going on, but we'll tweak it again. Like I said, just write notes on the side during live. That's the rebel scum. Okay, cool.
So he wants me to retrieve the amber. An object of ill omen. What terrible actions will be done in its name, and who will pay its dark cost? Because in this world, someone always pays. Best not to ask who or why. I understood that. Made my peace with it. Until that one night in Raccoon City changed everything.
She just fucked this guy up. The zombie guy was like, nice. I actually know, I played Old Republic like a little bit, but I was young and I didn't like the RPG of it where it was like turn-based.
I'm heading to meet Luis at the rendezvous point now.
I'm seeing increased movement from Los Illuminados. Don't get careless.
Copy. Ada out.
All right.
Almost at the church.
Chapter 2. Be sneaky quiet. Let's take these guys out without making a ruckus. Good night. Let's go. Maybe they have like, maybe they have their ear pods in. I'm familiar with that noise. That sounds like a bomb or a trip mine that I stepped on quite a bunch in the main storyline. Good night. I know, Wesker has no respect for Ada. You guys heard that trip mine, right? There you are. I'm gonna leave that for Leon. I'm gonna leave that for Leon. How many traps did we get up to on Resident Evil 4 first playthrough? I don't even want to remember. I made you stop the death count on Last of Us. I was getting frustrated. It's not a very fun death count to have. It kind of makes you lose morale. Ooh. Ooh. Do you think they hear me? Oh, shh. You think he sees me? You think he sees me? Do you think he sees me? Oh, he sees me. Yeah, he saw me. He definitely saw me. Die, gotcha. Die. Oh, I broke my knife. Oh, crap. What's that? What's that banging noise? That's definitely not good, huh? That's not good. Are we for real here? Are we for real? I think I can use that to my advantage if it lets me duck under it. Will it let me duck under it? Oh, it will. Okay. Okay. Wait, is this the same place where Grandmama hit me too? Oh man, all the flashbacks of the memories. I'm definitely using that trip mine as a lure. I'm also gonna look on the floor for traps. Is that the same one, or do you hear another one? Oh no.
What a warm welcome.
Oh no. It's the bullhead guy. It's the bullhead guy. Oh my god, oh my god. Okay, okay. Okay, bullhead guy, come this way. Are you serious, dude? Yeah, this way. Okay, they're running. They're running. Hurry up. Yeah, run into that. Oh. Oops. Oh shit, oh shit. Shit. Oh, do you? No, Neko, it's no. I'm very familiar with that noise only because I tripped into it like a lot as Leon. Yeah, no, I don't even want to talk about traps. Just kidding, but... Oh, it's not dead. I knew it wasn't going to be dead yet. Is it dead now? This gun feels very... Oh, what the... Well, the 3 times as much healing. Oh, okay, well. Okay, right, you have to hold it. Okay. I can do another one. Also, do we get yellow herbs in this one? I bet you we do. Because... Oh, yeah. Wait, what? Was it rifle bullets? Oh, okay. Hearts. Yes. Okay. I forgot I had this, too. Oh, I was gonna heal. That's right. I'm about to die. I mean, both of them are going to be full health, so let's just do that. And who's shooting at me? Who's throwing stuff at me? It's you. I don't appreciate you throwing shit at me, guy. Oh no, oh no, no, no. Nice, Sapphire. Thanks, bullhead guy. Well, that was fun. Hi, Danny. Hello, Danny. Welcome in. How you been? Are they talking about me? You think they're talking about me? Oh. Oh, I know. Bro, I was like, that would hurt. Oh, come on, get away from me. Get away from me. Oh, boom, boom. Oh, that was like a late kick because this guy. Oh my god, I gotta run. Oh my god, I gotta run. Damn, she's like on track and field, that person. I think I killed them. Oh. Oh, not this guy. Go away. Go away. Go away. Ooh. Right in the head. Right in the head. Nice. Headshots are more effective. Danny. Just die already. Nice. But now I can't get whatever he dropped. Yellow herbs. We were just talking about you, buddy. Increased health. Oh. Yep. Nice. I am pretty low on handgun ammo, but it's the only ammo I'm using. SMG goes pretty quickly since it's a freaking submachine gun. Whee!
I'm seeing quite the crowd here. I wonder what has them so riled up.
The president's daughter. Undoubtedly.
Couldn't have picked a worse time.
Consider the village infected. Complete local saturation.
I've read the file. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I've read the file too. Actually, can I have the file? I forgot to read it. I forgot to do the reading class. Although I'm pretty sure what's going on here. Everyone got infected and they didn't invite me. Although I don't think I want to be infected with a bug parasite that gets in my brain and rids me of free will. That's kind of not cool. Hello? Is anybody home? Hello? Oh, what a nice picture. You know what? I could probably try to take him out right here with my rifle, right? Let's try this. Oh, fun. How do I zoom again? Oh. Move your head a little bit to the...
Lights out.
That was fun. And nobody heard, huh? I swear, they all have their earbuds in. Wait a minute, this is that room. You guys, this is that place that I had to fight. Yes, this is that place. Let me, register to a shortcut. It's already there. Let me register you to a shortcut. And then, but you can be here. Grenades. Already there. Okay.
Puedes correr, pero no te puedes esconder. Pero no te puedes. Sé que estás ahí. Sé que estás ahí.
No. Is he gonna get me? Am I gonna get him on a patrol? Yep. Okay, my knife. I have 2 more knives, but I need to find that. I think they're becoming aware that I'm here. Wasn't there like a room that Ashley got to hide in down on the first floor? This was definitely the place that me and Luis kicked some butt, but I also died, and it was harder on hardcore. Shh. It's okay now. You can be gone. It's okay now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Don't notice me. Oh god, they're gonna notice me. Okay, they know. Thanks for the lurk, D. Oh, that probably should have saved it for those guys. But it's a good thing it's right here. Heck yeah. Big bada boom. Oops. Remember not to fuck with the pigs. The pigs will, like, they will hurt you. That is... That's just the door closing. It's okay.
This isn't the way to the church.
I know, I just want to look. Come on, Ada. Oh god. Next. Next.
Lights out.
Cool. What if that part just broke off from her weight? Oh, sorry, I just have one binocular. It's not
Leon,
called a binocular.
why am I not surprised?
How does she know it's Leon from this far away?
So kind of you to keep our friends busy. Let's see if we can find another route to the church.
Okay. It's his
This
booty.
looks promising.
You're right. She's like, I know that booty. I remember that booty from back in the day. Wasn't it? It's like a 7-year time skip between Resident Evil 2 and this game. If I'm not mistaken. Okay. She's like, I never forget a booty. I'm pretty sure it's 7. Better watch my step. That one feels like it's about to fall apart. No, 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 no. Okay, that knife's gone. Oh. Villager's diary. The bell rang today. It has been so long since I last heard it sound. The ringing is the call out of our Lord. The whole village congregated at the church to listen. He was as kind as ever. We are growing closer, and our minds are becoming one. He even said that the miracles we created here shall soon grace the entire world. What wisdom, what compassion. Through our Lord's benevolence, we shall receive the medicine to cure the madness. I cannot wait until the bell tolls again. Ooh. Some booties are unforgettables, others are... Ooh. Puzzle. Oh, okay, so there's that. Oh. There's that side, there's that side. Is there a third one? Oh, I knew that there were... Oh, there it is right there. Oh, we can't let that blasted cult do as it pleases. We won't someone clean up their blue medallions? The wretched things befoul the area. I was gonna say I knew there was... Where did you come from, guy? Honestly, where did you come from? I ran right past here. Okay, so it looks like it's the one with... It looks like an hourglass, but looks like an hourglass. How many are there? 4. So I know where one is. I don't know where the other 2 might be. The DNA symbol, yes. Thank you. Oh, there's one. You know what? No, I don't want to waste my rifle.
Not bad. Okay, next.
I know there's 2 more. I know there's one like underneath me. But I'm gonna find the other one because I get more money for the merchant if I complete this. I know. Let's try this though. I think it might be this one. This one. Cool. Now one more. definitely got to be in an area where I can aim. So... Where are you, madame? Where are you, medallion? Does anybody know where this medallion is? I guess I can... Maybe it's in the next room? Maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to leave it, but that's okay. Oh, I found it. I found it. It's really far away.
That's one job done.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Here we are. The church.
The church. Hell's bells. I wanted to backtrack just to see if I could go farther back here, but I probably can't open that door, so. The church. The cemetery. Oh. I kind of want to beat this patrol. Oh, is that... I think they saw me. They saw me. And they're throwing stuff. Yeah. I got your number. Come on, die. Die. Okay, die. Okay. And not a scratch on me.
Stood up again.
Sounds like he could use a little help.
Interesting. So Ada was the one that rang the bell
La campana.
when we were getting our asses overwhelmed as Leon.
que servir. Al Lord Saddler Todopoderoso.
Don't worry, Leon. First time's free. Don't keep me waiting, Luis.
End of chapter 2. It feels like. No.
We just lost Lewis's signal. Somewhere in the vicinity of the forest. Expect the worst.
I love how Wesker
your
says
Mendez, isn't it?
Luis in like the
He has a
most
house there.
American
Could
way.
be worth taking a look.
Do it. I'll see what I can find from my end.
Squall. What do you mean? Leon looks very handsome.
Should have known he'd be trouble.
Wait, what did Wesker say? Don't expect help from my end? Can't get in there. Suppose I go down here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't play Kingdom Hearts. I wish I would have. Actually, I tried to play one Kingdom Hearts, and I got stuck on like the Tarzan level, I think, or I forgot what level it was, but it was hard, and I stopped playing. But this was when I was a kid, so. Isn't there like a hidden door? Yep, there it is right there. Ooh, photo of Ashley. Keep her locked in the church until the appropriate time. So Ashley's like literally in the church, and we don't even care. Poor Ashley.
I bet Leon's here to save her.
Okay, so I'm guessing I go back to... Cool. I hear her crying. Oh my god, I hear her crying. Sorry. I can't come help you, I'm so sorry. Hang in there. Help's on the way. It's not me though. They don't pay me to help you. Apologies. Am I going back down here? Yeah, I'm coming back down here. When there's bad guys, that's usually when it's like... I don't think they saw me though, which was really weird too, so I'm just gonna hide. Like, right here. Or maybe behind the rock. I'm gonna hide behind the rock. And then maybe they won't see me. It's a little, but because I played the main storyline, so I kind of remember where everything is.
They're waiting for the gate to open. How obedient.
They don't even... Oh. Okay, I laughed too soon. I laughed too soon. Run away, run away. Oh god, you guys, this is a bad idea. There's a lot. Get you. You guys. Oh, glasses. Oh, I broke my knife.
Ahí está. Seguidla. Te voy a matar.
Crap.
clean strike.
So, was I supposed to get hold on. How do I look for objectives again? I think I go down here.
¡Hazla, joder! ¡Cuidado! No puedo caminar. ¡Puta intrusa!
It was a good punch. Oh crap.
¡Muérete!
Oh god, oh god, oh god. I think you did too, yeah. Okay, I picked up a knife. Ooh, purple light. If you don't know, you know. You know now. Purple light means,
Hey, stranger.
what are you buying?
So what are you buying?
Ooh,
You've picked quite the place to set up shop, stranger.
Aye, and look what it brought me. Well now, let's make our first time doing business a memorable one.
that'd be good. I've been sick for the last month, so.
Welcome, stranger. I knew I could count on you. Came into some other bits and bobs too, mate.
Just getting back on the flow of things.
Your valuables won't do you much good in the grave.
Thanks for that,
A
guy.
deal well struck.
I'm gonna repair my knife.
Give that the care it deserves, mate.
Ooh. I like the pistol. I'm gonna upgrade the pistol.
We're starting to get an idea of your tastes, friend. This kind of work is about finesse.
Yeah, I'm just gonna upgrade it. It's a nice pistol.
Little bit goes a lot. Hope to see you again soon, stranger.
No, it's just like a flu thing. Okay, so I'm gonna save. So I guess I'll save. Oh, I wonder if I'm gonna fight a boss. Step through this door. Oh wait, this is where all the babies were. No, they're not babies. They're like, dude, what are they? Some of them like really big troll heads. Master, if you pay it some thought, it is unusual that the Isidro let me go. Ever since that beast in the black robe struck me with everything, I have been feeling strange. I have started seeing things, having visions. The sky itself looks like that of another world. And then that thing comes. Only now there are many, hundreds. Master, I beg you, please. Is there a way to escape this horror? I fought that guy. No, they were like, they're skulls, but of like giants. Like, look at this guy. Like, that's giant.
Sadler, the leader of the cult.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh god.
How?
It's infected us somehow. Oh,
Won't let me go so easily, huh?
I don't like this. I don't like this. Okay. Parrying. If you have a knife, you can parry an attack with LB when the prompt appears in the bottom right corner of the screen. You can successfully parry even if you press it before the prompt appears. Time it right and the enemy will be staggered. Oh god. I totally did not time that right. I panicked. I didn't even see the parry button. It just said, alright, this will increase our health and heal us fully. Oops. Oops. I'm gonna make some, I'm just like, hold on, pause reality real quick. I'm gonna heal and then make a little bit of bullets. And then you can resume killing me. Oh god, it's right there! I did it! I did it! I did it, you guys! Did you see that? That was awesome! Just die already, you big, stinky little insect guy. Okay. I don't like this guy. One
Good
bit.
job.
Thank you. Okay, okay, right, melee. He's like, did you just kick me in the stomach? Now a lot are gonna appear. Unless... Yep. I don't like that it can teleport like that. It's kind of weird. Oh, okay, okay. This is a dead end. Oh my god! Dude, it takes a lot of health. Didn't I just fully heal? That's okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Don't want to heal again. That's not real. He's behind me. Please.
Looks like that was effective.
Yeah, I hope it hurts you, cockroach guy. Are you doing all the way over there? Oh, that's not real. He's not real. Is he gonna be real? The one with the red eyes is real. So my first analysis was correct. Oh god. Just hurry up and die, would ya? He's really angry.
The fog. It's getting thicker.
Okay, I gotta heal. I gotta heal. Let me infuse this one with the yellow herb. And then when we heal, we get more health. Cool. Your boy Blue. Hello. Okay. Oh my goodness. Jesus fucking Christ. Come on.
Not fond of that, are we?
That felt really good. Oh my god, there's no emerald. This is officially my first boss fight in the DLC. And we won. Well, I think.
Run, bitch!
Every time I hear that, it makes me think of Scary Movie. That scene was so good. And all I got to say is, run, bitch, run! Ada,
What is wrong with me?
I ask myself that every day.
Okay.
Aw, thank you,
Now for the
Rose,
village
son.
success.
Rose, son, you also look different. You look older, more mature. You're basically an adult now. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Wait, why is there... Who left their bones here in this hole? This is my hole. That sounded... Yeah, never mind. Thank you, Blue. Ooh. Are you talking about the chicken or dinner, D? Because barbecue does sound really good. I know, I heard it when it came out. And I wasn't even talking about that. The bones. But also we can have barbecue for dinner. Okay, so first boss fight was a success. I was panicking only slightly, not the entire time, but I'm hungry though. Nice brisket, sandy and sourdough, sandy on sourdough. Wait, no, I guess I don't really count the first encounter a boss fight. I guess you could if you really wanted to, but it was like less than 2 minutes in the game of the start of the game, and it was more of like just getting accustomed to.
It won't open.
It won't open. Oh, I was like, wait, what? So right now I'm just looking around for ammo, anything else, some coin. Ooh. Make some herbs. Okay. Dramatically tumble jump through the window. Nothing. Also, again, very impressed with Ada being able to do all this in heels and still look flawless and perfect. Shotgun? Wait, shotgun shells? I mean, I could...
I think I'll pass.
Speaking of hungry, do you want some? Looks like there's some bell peppers. Is that an eye on the left side? I think that's an eyeball. Okay. Nice. Have fun, D. Goulash. Yes, it's basically a potion of brewing. It's a Nightmare Before Christmas soup edition. And Children's Breath also. Yeah, D, which Horizon? First or second? I think I might put that on. I did put that, didn't I? No, I'm gonna put that on the next poll. But like I said, we have like 2 games to complete before then. But one is this DLC, the other one is Dead Space. But we were really far into Dead Space already, and I feel like to get the full experience, I might restart the game. But we can finish it, and then I can always come back to it. It was a fun game, even with the lag issues that we had from my laptop. not being able to support it all. Ooh, okay.
Rotten.
More food just sitting here. Mexico Froza. Wait, are we talking about the same game? Horizon Forbidden West or Zero Dawn? That was mold, theater guy says. Okay. Poor chickens. They have no idea. Oh, it's a racing game. Okay. I was not aware of this game. Ooh. We'll have fun. Ooh, perfume. Just what I wanted. Alright. You think we might have gone through the entire area? I think we're gonna go up here now. Some guy was already in there.
Should be just up ahead.
Maybe. I'm not. You never know. I've never seen perfume or, yeah, seen perfume used in any of the like games or TV shows or movies about zombie apocalypses. But you know, I think it depends on what kind of reality apocalypse you're in, zombie apocalypse you're in. Because if it's 28 days later, that's like they're just crazy rampaged infected beings. World War Z was kind of the same thing, but they were not attracted to the people who were vaccinated with something, right? Or infected with something. Resident Evil, I think it's like sound, and Walking Dead was definitely smell, because I remember them piling themselves in dead infected tissue, and they were... Oh, it's Leon.
Your blood has accepted the gift.
We're not getting you started, Tech Guy. It's okay. I love The Walking Dead, but I stopped watching it after Glenn died. Oh, spoiler, sorry. If it's been out for over 5 years, it's not a spoil. I guess it could be.
My blood?
I remember this part in the main storyline, and I knew it was Ada who saved us. That's true. But I know friends of mine. Sorry. She's like, keep your head down, keep your head down. Ada looks stylish. End of chapter 2. Yep. Alright, now I'll go on a break. This DLC is really fun so far. Yeah, bathroom break. But no, I have friends who don't even want to read comics because they don't want to get spoiled of what's going to happen. Let's say anime and manga are about the same way. And when you read manga, you're basically reading ahead of the script or the anime because you know what's going to happen, and then it gets animated. So I have friends who will not read the manga at all. I have friends who won't even watch trailers of movies because they want to go to the movie not knowing anything, and that's kind of cool. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Bye, have a beautiful time.
Y'all, sorry, I hit the button to continue. Yes, agreed, Tech Guy. But
Keep them busy, Leon.
sorry, I hit A. we're gonna get the camera situation figured out. I'm gonna press pause real quick, and what I was doing was trying to turn the volume of the game down or off. But chapter 3 should be able to just pause it real quick and.